Pirate's Most Powerful Villain, Chapter 1021-1040. Chapter 1021-Planet of Insects. Your king should be the king of insects, but forget it, anyway, I can't find them so easily now, and of course there is no problem with seeing your king first. Aizen's face is directly said with a smile. Then I saw that these insects made way, and then looked at Aizen, and at this time Aizen was directly and slowly following the insect that could talk to itself, and the insect was moving forward. Climb. After going around, I finally came to a very large platform. In this flat valley, there are many insects. These insects lowered their heads and said nothing. In the place where these insects were facing, there was a chair. On the chair is a very large insect. It's not huge, it should be said to be fat, and the circle of flesh made Aizen frown, reminding him of something that made him feel a little disgusting. The same is true of those hypertrophy voids, which are uncomfortable to look at, especially since this worm still has many eyes, which are distributed around and seem to be able to see things. Dear guest, welcome to my kingdom, although I don't know what your purpose is, but I don't think you want to enslave this planet. The bug on the seat spoke, and his voice was it's big, and it's also very thick, and it's the voice that a male should have. However, he knew that the creatures in this place could not be regarded as usual. After all, there were some hermaphroditic creatures. Do you know that I'm not here to invade this planet? Aizen walked in front of the bug indifferently, only to find that the bug was more than 3 meters long and nearly 2 meters wide, covered in white with tiny fluff. In the gaps of these fluff, there are many eyes. These eyes are very agile, and the eyeballs are constantly turning. Of course Aizen knows that these eyes should be able to see things. In other words, this bug is actually very powerful, at least he thinks so, at least the head of this bug must be very smart. Of course, I can feel this from you. You have no ill will towards our planet, you just come to our planet to do other things, don't you? Bug King ha 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 Isho. Its mouth is very small, and it seems to be like a chrysanthemum, which makes Aizen even think that it is a butt. Then what you want to say to me this time when you come to me? You know that you don't have much time. If you have anything, you can tell me, and I'll give you 1 minute. Lan Ran said calmly, in this planet, he really doesn't need to give any face to these insects. After all, you must know that this kind of thing is troublesome for him now. Since this bug king called him over, he has always asked for help. In this case, he can choose to be more disdainful, so what he wants now is up to him. Actually, I think we can give you some help. After all, on this planet, all bugs obey my orders. If you want to find something, I can help you, or I can help you. Found some people. I know there are some very arrogant people on our planet. Akoku then squinted his eyes. He seems to have thought of what Aizen wants to do after he comes to this planet. Since he has no malicious intentions towards these bugs, it means that what he is looking for is definitely not bugs, but people, and what he knows that is, in their planet, a group of people have lived for a long time, and in this place, they are very arrogant. Although they do not rule the planet, if they want anything, they will directly give their insect home to blow it up and take out the contents. This kind of thing has been going on for a long time. As the king of bugs, of course he can't let this kind of thing continue, so he has to think of a way. But today he thought about it. It is right to let this person deal with those arrogant Saiyans, and as for the victory or defeat, they don't care about their affairs. They just need to be a bystander. If they fail, of course, they will think of his method again, but if they succeed, they will naturally be liberated, and they will not cost a single soldier. The idea of yours is very good, but I still have something to say. I still know what you are thinking. If you want to use me as a target, you are really amazing, but forget it. Anyway, I also want to find them now. As long as you give me the address, I can handle other things myself. Quote. After Aizen finished speaking, she smiled directly, if you want to find me, just stay in the cave where I was just now. After Aizen finished speaking, her body just disappeared in place. Anyway, this kind of thing is very unusual now. Clearly, no matter what the truth is. Aizen is willing to accept the opinion of this bug king. After all, this is a matter of mutual benefit. You don't need to find it yourself, you just need to wait. Why not do this kind of thing? At this time, in Sun Wukong's dream, the ghost was already shocked. He never thought that this Sun Wukong was already able to use the first form of Super Saiyan very skillfully, and at this time he was fighting against Sun Wukong. He already felt that he could not hold back with one hand, and even wanted to show his strength. Only in this way can he stop Sun Wukong from approaching him. I didn't expect that your kid is very powerful. In terms of growth rate, it is also very powerful to be able to do this. But if you think you can relax just like this, it would be too naive. Directly to show his most powerful strength, this is to say, if you don't enter the second form, that's very embarrassing, you're going to be finished. Mo Ying proudly showed his strength, but in fact Sun Wukong did not have that kind of surprise. Instead, his brows were furrowed and his expression solemn, but this expression was a little crazy in Mo Ying's heart. Because of this the expression shows that Sun Wukong doesn't think he is invincible. This is an expression that has never been shown before, but it is finally shown today, which means that now Sun Wukong already has the strength to fight the ghost. Chapter 1022-Goku's Rapid Progress. If this is the case, then Sun Wukong will be able to fight against Frieza. It is not much worse, as long as he works harder, he may be able to end his training ahead of schedule. The ghost will continue to fight Sun Wukong, but in fact, this kind of thing is really not that simple now, and the ghost has already discovered it. From now on, Sun Wukong's strength has improved a little, that is to say, he was still hiding his strength from the beginning. But now I don't know what to say. I didn't expect that the speed of the protagonist's improvement of strength would be so terrifying. He has already caught up with that perverted Aizen. Aizen's bastard's ability to improve has always been the strongest, but now I don't think that Sun Wukong's ability to improve is even greater. So, I don't know what to say. While fighting with Sun Wukong, Ma Ying was shocked to think that this was true, which shocked him very much. But no matter what it is the same now, and there is no need to say more about other things, as long as you complete your tasks. As for how far Sun Wukong can grow, then he doesn't care about his own business. After all, he and Sun Wukong are not in the same world. His world is getting darker. By the way, if I want to become the second form, what should I do? Is it to continue to cultivate, and then still the same as the first form, as long as I continue to gather energy to reach it? Sun Wukong asked. In this case, yes, if you can gather enough energy, you can become a second stage person, but even so, it's not that simple, you know. Said with a smile. Ha ha ha, as long as you know the method, it will be much simpler. The most fearful thing is that there is no way to know the correct method. If you know it, it will be a matter of time. I will start to attack with all my strength. Sun Wukong said directly. He laughed and said, and then shot. The ghost said disdainfully, wait until you become a Super 2 and then say such arrogant words. After all, you also know that you are not my opponent now. Sun Wukong, hey Isho, didn't say anything. Anyway, as long as the ghost is defeated now, it will be able to get out of the dream. He was very impatient, and wanted to save his comrade sooner. Mbu. Kobayashi Bulma and the others are all on that Namek planet, so no matter what, he is going to save them, and see is to take those enemies who want to rule or destroy the earth. To kill, see. This is what he wants to do now. If it weren't for this goal, he wouldn't work so hard at all. Forget it, I don't care about you anyway, you just have to comprehend it yourself. Also, your moves and your battle moves should be more streamlined, and you need to use your brain. Because you can't always face the enemy directly. When you are fighting, if you encounter some enemies who are good at not face-to-face, you will not be able to decide the victory or defeat with him smoothly, even those people are only weaker than you. Quote. The ghost thought that during this period of time, what he talked about the most was Sun Wukong's moves. If it weren't for the roughness of Sun Wukong's moves, he didn't need to say so much at all. But no matter what, after training for so long now, Sun Wukong's moves have made some progress. At least when facing powerful moves, he knows how to avoid them directly, rather than face them head-on. Aizen was sitting in a cave at this time, constantly appreciating the environment of this planet. He looked at the hard-working insects around him and smiled. At this moment, an insect came up and said to Aizen, "Respect our guest, we have found one of the Saiyans, and he is not far away now, so if it is convenient for you, I think you can go and clean him up." Aizen nodded and said, "Don't say I know all these things, lead the way, since you have already caught one, then take him back first." Standing up, looking at the insect that was turning around and walking inside, Aizen smiled, and his hand fell directly on the weapon on his waist. Saiyans, it seems that he has never fought against Saiyans, so this time he must know how powerful these so-called fighting nations are. After going around, they came to another exit, which was followed by a forest. At this time, not far away, a Saiyan was eating the food carried by the insects, killing these insects by the way. The screams of insects kept coming, which made many insects avoid them in fear, and this Saiyan seemed to enjoy these things very much, killing one after another. "You humble beings are worthless in front of me. No, your only value is to bring me food and then kill me for fun. It's that simple." Saiyan looked proud. He couldn't stop laughing, while Aizen walked forward slowly, and when he came to the Saiyan smiled directly and said, "What's the matter? This time someone came with us." "The same guy as the human race, but who are you? If you have nothing to do, hurry up and find food for me." After finishing speaking, Aizen shrugged, and then said, "Sure enough, it is very arrogant. If it is not so arrogant, I think I can understand it. It is a pity, but it doesn't matter, it is already like this now. I'll just catch you." "Aha, I heard it right, you said you want to arrest me." "Ha ha ha, boy, do you know what you said to let yourself go to Wangquan?" Saiyan was very arrogant, and slapped himself. The contents of the hands were eaten, swallowed, and then rubbed on the body of a dead insect. This is standing up, twisting his neck, and then saying, "It seems that I have to kill another human race today, but it doesn't matter, anyway, I have already killed so many people, and you will kill one more person. It doesn't matter." After finishing speaking, Aizen also squinted and smiled, and said, "If you're done talking now, you can go with me, or I'll make you disabled and let you go with me." "You are really humorous. If that's the case, then you should die." Saiyan stopped talking, just looked at Aizen with a gloomy face, and then shot. Chapter 1023 _ Aizen's strength. He punched out, and his hand turned out to be radiant. The power of this punch must be very powerful, and Aizen is certain about this, but he just doesn't know what's going on here. But no matter what it is, Aizen didn't flinch, and his weapon was directly pulled out. Now, countless hurricanes appeared, and countless sword chi appeared. The spread and condensation of spiritual power has already caused all the attacks to fall on the Saiyans. The Saiyans did not expect it at all. This person's strength is so powerful that he is not even able to fight back at all. It is just one move to defeat him. He got up from the ground, although he was horrified, but his face was still calm and disdainful, and said, "Do you only have so much strength? You know, if I really use my own strength, I guess you don't even have a chance to shoot. So that's the case, then I'm welcome, but you have to resist, because if you die, I won't be able to explain it." Aizen said directly with a smile. After speaking, he squinted his eyes and smiled, and soon he directly raised his weapon. The Jinghua Shuiyu in his hand was directly raised, and then he slashed at the Saiyan, and countless spiritual powers turned into attacks. It fell on the Saiyan, and the Saiyan knew that the moves of Aizen just now were only a little bit of power, and these moves are the most powerful now. It was so powerful that it made people very shocked. The injuries on his body became more and more, and in the end he couldn't resist it anymore. Seeing the smile on Aizen's face, he said, "Now, can you follow me obediently?" "Don't worry, I will definitely not go with you. Even if you are strong enough, it is impossible. We Saiyans are the most powerful fighting nation, even if we fail, even if we die. If it falls, I will definitely not be your prisoner." Quote. After the Saiyan finished speaking, he directly stretched out a hand, then clenched his fist and roared at the Saiyan, but even so, there was nothing to do, and Aizen flashed past. A move, and then a smile on his face, a slap on the body of the Saiyan. Breaking Road 63, Thunder Roar Cannon. Boom. The thunder light showed that countless winds blew the surrounding sand and rocks, and countless trees were broken, and the Saiyan was shocked, looking at Aizen, and wanted to say something, but sometimes there was no way to put his heart into it. Words are spoken. Aizen looked at the Saiyan, then with a smile on his face, lifted the Saiyan, threw him forward, and then sent him into the sky. He disappeared from people's sight, but everyone thought that the Saiyan was just going to the sky, but they didn't know that when the highest point was reached, a vortex appeared and devoured him. When the Saiyan appeared, he was already in Qin Yang's space. Qin Yang smiled and said, "No matter what, at least the first test product has appeared. I think there is things to do." After Qin Yang finished speaking, he frowned and moved his space, because he found that the space in front of him fluctuated, which means he didn't know who appeared in this place. But there are not many people in this world who can have this ability. Even Sun Wukong can only reach another planet by taking a spaceship, not like them. Forget it. No matter what, it should be safe now. Qin Yang smiled, and then continued to look at the Saiyan. The Saiyan was still relatively thin, but if it was just to see if he was strong or not, it is absolutely impossible to judge a person's strength. It is possible that some thin people are more powerful, like turtle immortals. Turtle immortals are very thin, but in fact, in the early days of Wukong, they were the most powerful, able to defeat all people, and then it is to hold the champion of the world's #1 martial arts club tightly in his own hands. Qin Yang looked at the Saiyan, and then said, "You can wake up, I know you are pretending to be unconscious." The Saiyan was immediately embarrassed when he heard it, but soon he wiped the blood from the corners of his mouth, and then said, "Even if this is the case, I can still let him die. Where is it? Send me back quickly, and I will kill that bastard." Ellipsis. Ellipsis. Winds extreme, dream of love, 773,943,984. The extreme wind, Wanhua mirror, 874,542,149. Closing square bracket ellipsis ellipsis. Ellipsis. This Saiyan is not afraid of the situation here at all, especially that he is not afraid of Qin Yang at all, but instead shouts that if he does not let him out, then Qin Yang will be killed. Qin Yang felt a little helpless when he said this. There seems to be something wrong with the IQ of this Saiyan. He clearly knew that this space was a very special space, but he still didn't want to bow his head. This kind of thing simply made him very helpless. I said, "Can you see clearly what this place is, and see my strength before saying these words?" Qin Yang asked indifferently. "Ha ha ha, what kind of strength can you have? I am the most powerful Saiyan. Anyone who is in front of me wants my younger brother and sister to listen to me. Who do you think you are, and want to fight against me?" The person said directly in annoyance. "Sure enough, I finally know why Aizen sent you here with serious injuries, but I'm curious, your injury seems to be relatively easy to heal. It seems that you are also blessed in this respect, unfortunately. Now, with a ruler like Frieza, even if you are very powerful, it is useless." Qin Yang shook his head and said, "Bastard, what are you talking about? What is Frieza? After we Saiyans transform, we must be able to kill him easily. Now we Saiyans have always aimed to give, you know." Saiyan was very unwilling to admit defeat, while Qin Yang listened with a ha-isho. "After all, if you don't say anything about this kind of thing, there's really nothing to say. Anyway, that's the way it is now, and other things are much simpler. Anyway, that's how it is now, no one knows what's going on." Qin Yang looked at the Saiyan, and then said, "Even if you have become Super Saiyans, it's useless, because Frieza, your strength is not something that your first stage Super Saiyans can deal with, unless you are able to become second stage Super Saiyans, but unfortunately, you don't seem to have this talent." Qin Yang hee isho. Chapter 1024-die well. "Ha ha ha, I don't have this talent, how do you know I don't have it? You have to know that I am a Saiyan, and we Saiyans are the most powerful. How could there be no such talent? You are really funny, but it doesn't matter. As long as you give me a little time, I can prove to you that my talent is not something you can understand. Saiyan said directly and confidently. When you said this, you really still didn't see your situation clearly, but it doesn't matter, anyway. No matter what it is now, I already know your strength, although it is a little less, but a point is a point. There are good outdated ones, aren't they? Chinyang hee isho. Then suddenly the figure disappeared, and then a smile appeared behind the Saiyan. The Saiyan didn't even react at all, and was caught by Chinyang. With a look of fear on his face, he looked at Chinyang and asked, "You, what are you doing?" "What am I going to do? Don't you know this kind of thing very well? If I said I wanted to kill you, would you believe it?" Chinyang asked with a smile. "How is it possible? I am the greatest Saiyan. How could I be killed by you? Aren't you just stronger than me? If you let me evolve directly into a Super Saiyan, you will definitely be killed. Don't talk big, and if you kill me, the Saiyans in the whole world will not let you go." The Saiyan was not worried at all, but looked at Chinyang with a smile on his face, but he did not believe that Chinyang would kill him. You can move freely no matter what, and if something happens, someone will always help you to take revenge. That's why he has nothing to fear, but unfortunately, suddenly he found that the power in his body began to increase rapidly, and soon, with a roar, he directly broke through the bottleneck of his own and became the first stage superstar Saiyan, and still has a smug smile on his face. He turned around and looked at Chinyang, then haha isho, although I don't know why you did this, but since it made me like this, then you will die for me. I am a Super Saiyan now. Now, the strength is 40 times stronger than usual, so you can give me a trick. He didn't know Chinyang at all. If he knew that Chinyang had even fought their final form, he would not have said that. Just admit defeat. It will definitely be in their hearts. The final form is the greatest god. It has surpassed any form in this world. Even Frieza, in front of their final form of Saiyans, is just an ant, that's it. So he thought he could kill Chinyang after seeing that he had become a Super Saiyan. Chinyang has a smile on his face. After all, he doesn't know what to say about these things. Anyway, that's how it is now, and other things don't need to be said. It's just a little bastard, and he is so arrogant. Chinyang thought about it and felt that the Saiyan should still be able to successfully enter the second form, so he appeared directly beside him again, with a hand reached out, and then pressed it on top of the Saiyan's head. Continue to deliver energy, and then a smile on his face, and soon, the Saiyan became the second form of Super Saiyan directly in pain, but in fact he knew that, no matter what, the good thing is that his strength has been improved again. It was directly increased to 100 times. With this strength, he even had the confidence to kill Frieza. Ha ha ha, I can only say that you are stupid, knowing that my strength is constantly increasing. You are still sending energy to me, or, since that is the case, I will let you die. Be happy, and thank you for it. Quote. After the Saiyan finished speaking, he disappeared directly in front of Chinyang, and then appeared in the sky, and a light wave fell directly from his hand. Then there was a smile on his face. He rushed towards Chinyang, and when he hit Chinyang, he immediately turned to Isho and said, "Ha ha ha, I already said, don't underestimate me, I am the strongest." Big. After speaking, he directly looked at the surrounding environment with interest, and then with a look of curiosity, he muttered, "I really don't know what this place is, and it turns out that I can't feel that the breath of the world. Could it be that I have come to another world?" But at this moment, Chinyang's voice appeared beside him. "What's the matter? When you are fighting against me now, you are looking around like this. Do you think you have killed me?" Chinyang looked at the Saiyan indifferently, while the Saiyan widened his eyes and turned his head to look at Chinyang, while Chinyang said, "Don't worry, if you are here, you can be caught if you kill me. I don't think I need to do anything, and I don't need to come to this world. Anyway, this person is also going to die, so there is no need to be afraid to say these words," and the Saiyan is already a year of fear in his heart at this time. What he does not know is that this Chinyang's strength is actually so powerful. Under his all-out blow, he was unscathed, as if his attack was just tasteless. But he knows his strength, and also knows how terrifying a full-strength blow is. You must know that he is now the second form of Super Saiyan, and a casual blow can cause the destruction of a planet. However, such a powerful attack. He was completely dodged by Qin Yang, so he didn't know what to say. But that's the case now. There are nothing else. Qin Yang looked at the Saiyans as if he didn't intend to attack, and felt that the time was almost up, so he stretched out his hand. He grabbed the Saiyan's head and said, "Forget it, you never appeared in the plot anyway. In this case, your death is still what you deserve." After he finished speaking, he began to absorb the mysterious energy of the Saiyan, but it was only a breath of time. The Saiyan didn't even participate in it, so he fell to the ground with his eyes blank. Qin Yang closed his eyes, and then felt how much energy this Saiyan gave him, but soon he frowned. Chapter 1025-Juya's Final Destination. This kind of mysterious energy is too little, so that he has no way to know how many Saiyans he needs to be absorbed by himself to successfully become an 8-star master. But no matter what, it's just a little bit now. After all, he can't do anything right now. If he goes out to the world of Dragon Ball at this time, he will definitely be killed by that 8-star person. Even if he has certain confidence in his own strength, he is always a little worried when facing an 8-star person, so he is directly helpless. I don't know what to say. Anyway, that's the way it is now. Other things don't need to be done. As long as this kind of thing is done, other things are nothing. So we still have to send more people there. Slug doesn't know where he is now. If he finds Slug, he may know where the mysterious energy has been received by Sombra. If it was taken away by that own opponent, I don't believe it. Quote. After Qin Yang finished speaking, he just squinted his eyes. Anyway, that's how it is now, and he doesn't know what to say about other things. At this time, Juya was actually in contact with him. Qin Yang was very curious. At this time, if Juya was in contact with him, it means that something was discovered. In this case, it may be possible to know where Juya is now, and this place is likely to be the opponent's lair, and the mysterious energy must be in that place. Juya, are you being taken away now? Qin Yang asked. No, I feel that Nappa has come back, but I have a very bad feeling that Nappa has changed a bit. Ju Yi said directly. There is a problem with Nabal, can you know what is wrong with him? Qin Yang asked quickly. In fact, Nabal is just a trivial person. Even if he dies, there is no problem, but now he is a little concerned, because Nabal was taken away and sent back. If he said this, he meant that Nabas had been studied by others and had not been killed. He did not believe that those people were as kind as himself. Even if Nabas was useless, he still kept it, but what was it? What did you do? This was something he could never have imagined, but no matter what it was, he had to know what happened to this Nabas. I think they will take me away after a while, but unfortunately I can't seem to know where this place is. If I do, I can locate you. By the way, Qin Yang, if I die, remember that if I can go back to my world, I must say sorry to Naruto. Ju Yi said with a sigh. Don't worry, you won't die, and you must work hard to send me your position, so I can save you as soon as possible. Qin Yang said quickly. Yeah, if it is possible, of course I would like this the most, but there is no chance, even if my strength is very strong, but after following you more, I will know that my strength is only in mine. There are powerful people in that world, but in other worlds, it seems that there are many more powerful people, especially in this world, it is simply frightening. Quote. After Juya finished speaking, he sighed and didn't know what to say, but he also knew that he couldn't continue to sit on anything, because his life was probably going to be terminated by them. And he is also dignified. If he is doing research on his own body, he doesn't even need to say anything, he just protects himself. Even if it is death, it must be dignified to die, just like that the bastard who played blasting also turned his body into the most artistic blast. So he has already decided that if something really happens, he will definitely detonate his body as soon as possible. Let these people know how powerful they are. knowing that if their body explodes, it will be a disaster for the whole interest. So I don't know what to say now, but this is already very good. He knows, this result is already the best. Yang also sighed, but he knew that now is not the time to be impulsive. Even if he sacrifices Juya, he must not be too impulsive. Otherwise, not only Juya will die, but even his followers. Everyone around you will die. The strength of those people is very powerful, so he doesn't know what to say, but that's how it is now. Other thoughts are nothing. Anyway, that's how it is now, he sighed, and Juya at this time, he suddenly said. Those people came here, they seem to be taking me somewhere. I'm still pretending to be in a coma, and they shouldn't find out that I'm actually awake. Anyway, I'm very grateful to you. If they want to take me anywhere, I will never give in. After Juyi finished speaking, a smile suddenly appeared on his face. He knew that his life was probably coming to an end, but it was already okay. After all, after being out for so long, it was time to go back and become the person he once was. A part of a tree, this is its final destination. Juya felt that these people put themselves on a table, and one of them was carrying a large saw knife, as if to dissect himself, and he was very angry. Sure enough, these people he wanted to insult himself, so he jumped up suddenly and said angrily, "You bastards, I will kill you." After he finished speaking, there was a smile on his face. Anyway, that's how it is now. There is no need to say anything about other things. He directly transformed into the most powerful form. The gun appeared directly. A dark black light wave was reflected, killing several people, but in the end it was blocked by the man with the saw blade, who smiled and said, "I didn't expect the power of the Nine Tails to be so powerful." Powerful, but even so, it doesn't matter. You have already been caught by me anyway. You are going to be finished. Chapter 1026-Go to Hell. This man was wearing a white coat and a pair of glasses. His hair was smashed and he didn't seem to have washed it for many years. There was a sparse beard on his chin. He had a smile on his face, with two very conspicuous the fangs. It seems to be a vampire family. With just one hand, he blocked Nine Tails' virtual dog cannon. This kind of strength was already shocking no matter what. At least Juya knows that he can't fight against this person, because this person's strength is too powerful, so he smiled and said, "Even so, my Juya is not so easy to mess with. I let you know, my Juya is amazing." After he finished speaking, the whole body exuded a dark aura, and then countless black mists overflowed from Juwei's body, and then he saw that Juya's strength was constantly improving. Let this vampire look very interested. He took off his white coat, followed by a smile, and said, "That's fine. I haven't touched it for a long time. Today I will treat it as an exercise a bit. After all, if you don't exercise for too long, you will always make yourself prostitute yourself, which is not good." Quote. After the vampire finished speaking, when he saw that Juyi had already overdrawn his life, he immediately became Isho. His palms turned into sharp claws, and the other vampires, subordinates, had already withdrawn. The people in the Dragon Ball world, but their strength is very weak. So at least there is no way to deal with this kind of battle, and Juya said with a look of disdain, "Stop talking nonsense. Even if I die, I will let you all go to the funeral with me, ha ha ha." Juya looked at the vampire, and then rushed up directly, and the vampire naturally greeted him. The two fought, and the surrounding buildings collapsed. Juya appeared again with a false dog, almost killing the entire planet. It was shot through, but the vampire didn't feel anything at all, and continued to fight against Juya. The people on this planet are constantly fleeing, but in fact they simply don't know where to flee. In the face of this absolute power, they have no way to escape. Can only wait for death. Sure enough, in the battle between the two, soon, Juya blew up the planet with one shot, while the vampire and them continued to do such things directly. Anyway, no matter what, it is as simple as that now. The same goes for other things. The vampire shot, and the blood-red scratches on his hands appeared to attack Juya, and Juya was haha Isho. His nine tails were constantly waving, and then he brought the fierce chakra to block these attacks. It's very possible. Only you in this state can play against me, but before you die, you should really let me have some fun. As I said, you will not compromise, no like Nabas, but Nabas has already been studied by us, and we will let him go back when it is almost there, but if you want, you can be like Nabas. The vampire said very happily. Ha ha ha, do you think my ninth master will be at your mercy? Even if I die, I will definitely not be so humiliated. I am going to die vigorously, I want people to know, I will let you know, what are you all about? How stupid, bring me back. Juyi was very angry, he shouted. It seems that the disdain in the blood ghost's eyes made him very uncomfortable. In the world of Hokage, he is the most powerful one, but why did he come to this place, and he couldn't continue to do everything? The worst thing to say is that he wants to use his most powerful moves to pay homage to his own death. Of course, if he can help Qin Yang, that is the best. Even if it can't help, it must not make people who want to do such things to themselves feel better. Death is okay, it is not afraid of death, but there is one thing he must know. He was the overlord of the world, but the most powerful, even death, it must be vigorous and shocking to everyone. Only in this way is the best. Give me death, go to hell with me, Juya said directly, very unhappy. And these words directly made the vampire smile, and then he opened his hands, the whole space seemed to turn bloody, and then he smiled and said, ha ha ha, then you come and let me know. How powerful are you, but I have to tell you, I am definitely not as weak as you think, you know. If you want to kill me, you still have to practice for hundreds of years. After speaking, he rushed to the nine tails again, and Juya really clenched his fists and started to rush towards the vampire. This space is definitely not the space of the Dragon Ball. This is what Juya knew. This kind of thing is relatively clear. If it is that space, it is definitely not the case. So this is definitely not that space. He doesn't know where this space is, but it doesn't matter anymore, because he already wants to completely destroy this space, because he knows, if it is not the space of Dragon Ball, if so, it may be Qin Yang's enemy space. The enemy of Qin Yang must be able to create his own space, otherwise, there is no way to explain the matter here. So now I don't know what to say, but no matter what it is, it's the way it is now. He looks directly at this person, and then looks unhappy. I want to destroy this space of yours. I'm going to make you all regret it. The vampire haha isho and said, you want to destroy my space? What a joke, if it's your master, you can still do it, but yours is far worse. The vampire said nothing at all. Unkind. But no one knows what to say, because there is nothing else to say about this kind of thing, so I don't know what to say now. But no matter what it is, you always have to know what power this Juya has to destroy this space. Although I don't believe that Juya can do it, you still have to be careful, otherwise, if you turn inside the gutter. If you are on a boat, it will not look good. Chapter 1027-Clown Figure. I don't look good in front of my boss. Juya smiled, okay, since I'm already scared, that's fine, and I have enough time. I know there's no way to get out of this space, so I don't plan to go out either. Yes, I just want you to be splattered with blood when I die. After he finished speaking, there was a smile on his face. No matter what it was, at least it was like that for now, and there was no need to say anything about other things. Because Juya has completely stimulated his core heart, at this time, the blood energy in his whole body is the most powerful, and his 9 tails are also combined into one, and then he squinted at the vampire. You never know what my most powerful strength is. I don't know, but I know what your strength is. You said that you can destroy all these planets. I still believe it, but you must know that destroying this space is not so simple. Yes, it's not as simple as destroying a planet, the vampire said suddenly. Yes, but I'm ready, and you don't need to delay. I know you're calling that person back, but I won't wait for you anymore. You should die for me. Juyi suddenly had a murderous look in his eyes, and then suddenly appeared in front of this vampire. One punch, just one punch, smashed the vampire into another planet, and it was transmitted from the other side of the planet. This is simply terrifying strength. The vampire looked horrified, then coughed and looked at Juya with an indifferent face, and Juya stretched out a hand at this time. At this time, he no longer needs to use 9 tails to gather his chakra, because the chakra everywhere on his body is enough to use the virtual dog cannon. Boom! The virtual dog cannon fell on the vampire, and the vampire smiled and said with a big smile, "I think you still have no other moves. You still use such moves, but you always have to know. My defense is completely able to resist this virtual dog cannon." But before the vampire's complacent expression was put away, he found that countless virtual dog cannons began to fall on him continuously. And he can only resist passively. He really didn't think that Juya could have such a powerful strength if he worked so hard. He really didn't know. He thought he could kill Juya at will, but now he found out that he couldn't. He knew that if he continued to play like this, he would definitely be killed, so he shouted. Countless blood-red mists appeared on him, and then he turned into a blood mist. However, Juya didn't notify him of his actions, and in his hand, there was a virtual dog cannon that was never fired. He was constantly doing something to this place, but no matter what it was, that's how it is now. He knew that the other party was still not dead, and after turning into a blood mist, there was no way to do anything, but no matter what it was much simpler. He looked at the vampire, only to see that the blood mist of the vampire suddenly gradually disappeared. But Juya glanced at the emptiness on the side, and then shot the virtual dog cannon in his hand. No, the big virtual dog cannon blasted directly on the void. The vampire only revealed his body from the void at this time. He didn't expect that it was discovered by Juya, and it was a painful blow. Juya has a smile on his face, but in fact he knows that this kind of thing is not that simple. So, other things are also very good. At this time, the vampire was already vomiting blood and kept retreating, and finally roared wildly, and then pointed at Juya and shouted loudly, "You bastard, you actually injured the esteemed count. I must break you to pieces. 1,000 corpses." He crossed his hands on his chest at this time, then began to do some prayers, and then countless pairs of eyes appeared in this void. These eyes are all red, but they have a very powerful evil spirit, and the vampire's body is gradually dissipating, but at this time, Juya grinned, then laughed, and finally laughed wildly, and finally put away your smile. "Now, I've had enough of it. It's alright, thank you for letting me see a clown-like character at the end of my life. You thought you were playing with me, but in fact, I was just playing with you, ha ha ha." Quote. Juya's body suddenly shrank, and finally turned into a radiant ball of light, followed by countless cracks emerging from the space. There was actually a very strong suction in the void. The planet began to move here, and cracks began to appear in the void. The cracks kept getting bigger and bigger, as if they were going to extend directly. Soon, as if the lenses were shattered, a crack burst open, and from those cracks, it turned out that the scenery of Dragon Ball World could be seen. In other words, if this crack is opened at this time, it must be able to return to the Dragon Ball World. But unfortunately, Juya knew that he had no chance, because he had already spent his last life in this place. In Qin Yang's space, Qin Yang was angry at this time, because he knew what this breath meant, that Juya was going to die in this world. But he really didn't expect that it would be so fast, that he would lose his troops and lose his generals, and he was not a person in this Dragon Ball world. This person is extremely hateful. He knows that this kind of thing will never let him leave this world safely. Since Juya died, he should stay and be buried with him. His face was angry, and then he gritted his teeth, although he wanted to pour his own power into Juya, and then let Juya directly increase more power to completely destroy this space. But he knows that now, he absolutely can't shoot, because he can't expose himself. At this time, a person appeared in front of him. The ghost came back, he looked at Qin Yang, and then asked, "That person, is that person Juya?" Chapter 1028-Why not save him? Well, it's him. Qin Yang closed his eyes. Then why don't we save him? Why don't we save him? We already know his location. If we save him now, it must be too late. The ghost was a little puzzled. This kind of thing is absolutely unacceptable. I think Juya doesn't want us to do such a thing. You must know that those people are probably eyeing the surrounding area. If they do, our position will be exposed. At that time, not only if only the sandals died, that would be the fate of all of us. Quote. Chinyang said directly, if it could be saved, he would want to save it more than anyone else, but he knew that he must not be impulsive now. If it is impulsive, then everything is over. Chinyang gritted his teeth. He was able to perceive Juya's departure very clearly. He could also perceive the situation in that space very clearly, and Nabal's departure. Taking advantage of the crack in the space, Nabal escaped from it. Magic Shadow, go meet that Nabal. Chinyang said directly. I think I'm with the wrong person. Even if I know that Juyi is inside, I'm still so calm, and I can even think of other things. You are very cold-blooded. Mo Ying suddenly felt unhappy. Said Tilda Road. If you think there is something wrong with my decision, then please leave. I don't need people like you who don't obey orders in my team. The people I want are very obedient. There is no need to question my decision. Chin Yang said directly unhappy. Anyway, that's the way it is now. He doesn't want to talk too much with the ghost. The ghost is too sentimental and too emotional. Even now he knows that if he appears, he will be beaten to death. It's the same. If you want to have no hesitation, you can only say that you are stupid, not your true temperament. If he really wants to do something for Juya, of course, he will directly kill these enemies, and he knows that Juya has already overdrawn his life, so no matter what, even if it is there is absolutely no way to rescue Juya. Because his life has been squandered in that battle. Moying looked at Chin Yang, and finally turned around and left. He didn't plan to go to other worlds with Chin Yang. Even other worlds were very desirable to him, but following such a cold-blooded person, he absolutely does not want it. Van appeared in front of Chin Yang, and then said, "What's the matter, why don't you go after him?" "No, he is my subordinate. If I have to question even my decision, I would rather not have such a subordinate, you know." Chin Yang said angrily. "Anyway, that's the way it is now, other things are also very important. If he does irrational things at this time, it is definitely not his character. He is very rational. Even in the face of such a very angry thing, it is not necessary." Chin Yang directly ignores these things. Anyway, it is like this now, and other things do not need to be said. The most important thing now is still have to do something better. So that's it for now, nothing else needs to be said. Chin Yang looked at Madara, and then asked, "How is it, have the androids on Dr. Jero's side been created?" "No, not yet, I have encountered a difficult problem. It is estimated that Sharu's matter will be pushed back for a while, but I don't think it matters. Anyway, when Sun Wukong kills Frieza, it will be all right. It's going to take a long time," Madara said directly. "I know this is the case, but if Sharu is not created, the speed will not keep up with my plan, and now Aizen is constantly helping me catch those Saiyans, just to get the strength has been improved. If Sun Wukong can't quickly realize the second form, then there is no way for my strength to change in a short period of time." Chin Yang explained directly. Anyway, things like this are very clear now. Now that Juya has sacrificed, if the rest of the people act in Dragon Ball, they must be careful. If he encounters an enemy, he can leave if he can run. Anyway, before he becomes an 8-star master, he absolutely cannot fight the enemy head-on. Because it is very disadvantageous to fight the enemy head-on, because their boss is much stronger than himself, and this is what will make his own people suffer when they fight against those enemies. Thinking of this, his face is directly unhappy. Anyway, it is like this now, and he can't be in a hurry. He knows that if he can't bear his temper, some very bad things may happen, and this kind of thing it will make him very uncomfortable. So what he has to do now is to let Aizen and the others do according to their own plan. As long as they get their own affairs done, as long as they improve their strength, then the rest will be much simpler. It seems that those people want me to come out quickly. If this is the case, then let you wait for a while. When I come out, I will let you know how stupid you are doing these things. Chin-Yong said with a cold face. At this time, Lan Ran also knew about Juya's death. He sighed in his heart. In fact, the person who died should belong to him. It was just that Juya went to Nabal instead of himself, but he didn't expect it. It happened to happen. Anyway, no matter what, he still has to continue to sit on his own business. He is not like a ghost, he is more rational, and he knows, no matter what it is now, there is always something to know, that is, they want to improve Chin Yang's strength as much as possible. Otherwise, there is no way to fight them no matter what. So that's what it is now, no matter what it is, what he has to do now is much simpler, so he doesn't know what to do. This is the case now. He looked at the distant scenery. At this time, Aizen was already regarded as a god by the insects, because Aizen had already helped them wipe out a lot of Saiyans. At this time, Aizen looked at the Saiyan who was seriously injured by him in the distance, and thought about it, and felt that there should be no one around. Chapter 1029 _ the weak will always be bullied. This is the way to throw these Saiyans forward. He knows that, now that this kind of thing makes him cautious, Chin-Yong must not have an accident. Even if he protects him with his own life, it is a glance. Chin-Yong must not have an accident. If there is an accident, everything will be over. So he knows that he doesn't need to do anything. Even if he is really killed by the enemy in the future, he doesn't want Chin-Yong to come and save him, so he can't say anything now. Got it, but that's it for now, and everything else is much simpler. Throwing these Saiyans into Chin-Yang's space, he continued to walk inside, because the insects had already found those Saiyans. Since their appearance, those Saiyans also know that there is a very powerful person who will come to this place and capture them, so they don't know what to say now. Anyway, that's the way it is now, and other things are even more so. They seem to be starting to unite. Although this kind of attention is good, Aizen will let them know that even if they are united, it will be useless. As long as they don't become Super Saiyans, there is no threat to them at all. He walked forward slowly, and then smiled. The insect beside him was very respectful, but he also started to say something. The Saiyans are already united, and they have gathered a lot of Saiyans. They all came from Frieza, because they didn't want to be Frieza's slaves, so they hid with us. But after they came, they were very abominable, they didn't say hello to us, and they started to snatch our things, like robbers. Insect said directly. The weak person, no matter what it is, will be the one who will be bullied. You don't need me to tell you about this matter. After all, you are bullying other animals on this planet, so these things there is no need to say. Aizen didn't want to hear the complaints of these insects. He just wants to complete his task. Other things are not so important, and he knows that these insects want to perish with those Saiyans, so when the Saiyans asked things when he was there, they didn't hide it at all, and they gave him directly. This kind of thing, if it was in the past, he would kill all the creatures on this planet, but after thinking about it, forget it, don't make such a big noise now. After all, if there is a question on the planet here, it is likely to attract a lot of people's attention. If it is to attract one's own enemies, it is a very bad thing. Q Kai. So there is no need to say what to do now. Anyway, this is the case now, and other things do not need to be said. Aizen slowly walked out of the cave, and then saw that there were 20 or 30 Saiyans waiting for him in this place. He looked at the insect, and saw that the insect was terrified. I also told you about this matter, right? Aizen certainly didn't know it. If it wasn't for these insects, how could they have appeared in this place on time, and they were still waiting? It means that they all already know what they are going to do here. And this kind of thing, only after these insects say it, they will know, other people will not know. You are the bastard who keeps attacking us Saiyans. It can be seen that you are indeed powerful, but even so, you should have no reason to do such a thing. A Saiyan came out and said, this Saiyan seems to be relatively old, so he still has a certain status in the eyes of these Saiyans. Of course, in this way, it is also the most powerful, because no matter how old you are, the Saiyans are more convinced by their strength. Whoever is strong will listen to whoever is strong. This is the truth that everyone agrees with, and the fact that this middle-aged Saiyan came out shows that the strength of this Saiyan is relatively strong. Only in this way can you be qualified to speak out. There are more than 20 Saiyans on your side. This time should be enough, but I am very curious. How many Saiyans are there on your planet? It seems to be more than I thought. It's more, but it's a good thing, Aizen asked directly with a smile. Don't say things like this here. Do you think that so many of us Saiyans will still be caught by you? This time, you are dead. The middle-aged Saiyan was very upset and said directly. The others also nodded, because they were all very confident in their own strength, so they rushed up and surrounded Aizen. Well, since it's going to be a fight from the beginning, then I'm welcome, so as not to waste everyone's time, and I think time is still in a hurry. Aizen pulled out her weapon, and Jinghua Shuiyu directly it played a role, causing the Saiyans to frown. But they didn't say anything. They didn't seem to find out that the blue dye they saw now was made by Kyoka Shuiyu. And the real Aizen has already started to go to one of the Saiyans. This battle, needless to say, it is estimated that there is no suspense. After all, only when fighting seriously, Aizen will use Jinghua Shuiyu, and still stimulate the effect of Jinghua Shuiyu. It's really good. In this case, you don't need to find them by yourself. There are more than 20 at a time. I think Qinyang will be able to use it for a while. The demi-human was knocked to the ground, and the other Saiyans didn't know what happened, and the effect of Kyoka Suzuki was activated again, and countless Aizen appeared in front of them, and then began to attack them. The real Aizen was constantly digging in from the side at this time, killing all these Saiyans, but at this time, the middle-aged Saiyan suddenly shouted at this time. His body began to continuously increase his momentum, and finally, it was the first stage of becoming a Super Saiyan. Chapter 1030 _ The Strong Outside the Drama. Aizen looked at it and nodded immediately. Sure enough, I will say, how could it be that no one can become a Super Saiyan? If it is true that no one becomes, then these Saiyans are too wasteful. But fortunately, I finally meet a person who can become a Super Saiyan. In this case, this person's ability to bear should be able to reach the third stage, and this person's mysterious energy can already be topped. There are 10 people, this is a windfall, for Aizen. Aizen hummed Isho and said, very good, I finally met a Super Saiyan. HMPH, I'm making you laugh now. If you dare to let me take out my own strength, then you will die for me, and I will let you know the pain of death. The middle-aged Saiyan was very angry said. Don't think that being a Super Saiyan can do anything to me. You must know that I haven't met a Super Saiyan before, and it seems to be a little more advanced than you. Aizen said with a smile. HMPH, stop bragging, even we Saiyans, it is absolutely not that simple to become a Super Saiyan, unless it is a very talented kind, and all I know is our king, he is only a Super Saiyan in the first stage. The middle-aged Saiyan said with a displeased expression. You've only just cultivated in this first stage, right? Otherwise, this momentum will not be like this. Aizen said directly. Even if I just became a Super Saiyan, there is absolutely no problem in killing you, because your illusion has already been seen through by me, and you can't use your illusion anymore. Saiyan said very proudly. Oh, you thought that I was fighting against you just because of illusions, then you really made a mistake. It's just that I have such a more convenient move, so I just want to use it, but you don't understand so much. Or let you know what kind of strength gap exists between me and you. Aizen narrowed her eyes. He shot, the weapon in his hand directly turned into some light, and then kept shooting at the Super Saiyan, and the Super Saiyan was very fast, and directly gave this move to dodging. He came to Aizen and punched down. Of course, Aizen will not fight against him. These Saiyans are very powerful in head-to-head battles, so if they want to fight, of course, they will defeat the opponent from the side. Although he is confident that he will not lose to this Chan Yaren on the front, but in fact, if he can use a simpler method, of course, he must use the simplest method at. Aizen's IQ is still very high, so in these battles, he has already thought of some moves to solve this Super Saiyan. He was just choosing which one was the best to use, but it was finally determined. He watched the Super Saiyan rush up again, so the weapon in his hand shook, and then he turned the weapon into a weapon. The water pool directly resisted the attack of the Super Saiyan from the sky. Then, he was also shattered. Aizen manipulated the water and directly imprisoned the Super Saiyan. At this time, even if the Super Saiyan has the power, in front of the water, he also has no power, because the water can cancel all the power. So now Aizen appeared directly in front of this Super Saiyan, and said with a smile, "Sometimes, you may not be able to defeat the opponent with brute force, but you have to use your brain, don't you?" After speaking, he smiled. "Anyway, this matter has already been settled, so there is no need to do anything. It is like this now, and other things are like this, and it is like this now." Aizen smiled, but at this time Super Saiyan was still very dissatisfied, and said loudly, "If you have the ability to let me go, I will let you know how powerful I am." Super Saiyan continued to struggle, but this kind of thing, the more you struggle, the tighter it is, and these waters are constantly flowing, but no matter what, they will not let the Saiyans go. So now, although this person wants to do something, it has no effect. This kind of thing is not something he can do if he wants to do it. Aizen smiled and said, "No matter what, you are already very good. Anyway, I will send you to a place, and the people in that place will definitely face you when they fight with you. So don't worry, you can still use your strength to the fullest." After Lan Ran finished speaking, he threw these Saiyans into Qin Yang's space. At this time, there were already 2 dead Saiyans under Qin Yang's feet. These Saiyans were drawn by Qin Yang. After drying out those mysterious energies, it can only be death, there is only one way. But he didn't know what to say. That's it now. When he saw that there was a Super Saiyan among these Saiyans, he was suddenly curious. He really didn't understand things outside the plot. He didn't expect that among these fleeing Saiyans, there were some Super Saiyans. With a smile on his face, he said, "It's really interesting. If I didn't know it now, I really don't know. It turns out that there are so many masters outside the plot. I really didn't expect this. Yes, it really is amazing." Quote. After finishing speaking, the Super Saiyan also discovered Qin Yang. When he saw that there were 2 Saiyan corpses under Qin Yang's feet, his pupils shrank. He knew who Lan Ran was talking about, but he didn't care about it anymore, and he didn't know how powerful Qin Yang was. He just wanted to kill the person who killed their Saiyans. To kill, it is that simple. He rushed up, and then put all his attacks on Qin Yang, and Qin Yang just asked jokingly, "What's the matter? There is no idea that you are going to attack, so it seems that you are still it as a single-celled creature, but no matter what it is, I think you should take a good look at it. Where is this place and what is my strength?" Quote. After Qin Yang finished speaking, he suddenly had a smile on his face, and then kicked the Saiyan directly with one foot. Anyway, that's what it is now, and other things don't need to be said. Chapter 1031-Feeling Yearning Before Death. He arrested these people in order to wash their hands with their mysterious power, so no matter what, he didn't care so much. He came to this Super Saiyan, then stretched out a hand, held his head, and directly raised his strength to the 3rd stage, but at this time, this Super Saiyan was already unceasingly howling in pain. He couldn't absorb so much energy, so after feeling the energy in his body, he found that his energy seemed to explode. His body was also about to explode. His eyes were scarlet, then he looked at Qin Yang, and then he asked, "What the hell are you doing?" "I don't do anything, I will at least let you feel what you yearn for before you die. After all, you all know that you have been pursuing strength in your life, and you don't need to work so hard to cultivate now, just it's a wonderful thing to be able to feel your most powerful strength, isn't it?" Qin Yang hee isho. And this Saiyan listened with a look of indignation. He pointed at Qin Yang and said, "Even if we Saiyans die, they will definitely not be played by you like this, you bastard, I want to kill you. You." After he finished speaking, he was going to come up, but Qin Yang smiled directly at this moment, then shook his head and said, "Don't struggle, I know you already feel your strength, then now, you have to pay a small price, and that is to give me all the power back." Quote. Yang said that he has already begun to absorb the energy of this Saiyan into his body. Anyway, the most important thing now is to improve his strength. As for other things, he doesn't care so much. When death is in front of you, don't say it is kind, no matter what it is, it can be thrown away, so I don't know what to do now. The only thing he wants to do now is to raise his strength to 8 stars, and then go out to the world of Dragon Ball and kill his enemies. It's that simple. There is nothing to say about other things. Anyway, it is already like this now, and there is nothing to say about other things. I think my strength is already growing, so if I guessed correctly, the most important thing now is to speed up, since I have found that my strength is improving. Yang is already. It was confirmed that after these Saiyans became Super Saiyans, they definitely had mysterious energy on them. It can also be said that the reason why the Saiyans can transform is because they have mysterious powers, but generally speaking, these mysterious powers are lurking in them. However, when they become Super Saiyans, which means that they already have enough power, they can directly stimulate these mysterious energies. Therefore, why Yang must make them become Super Saiyans is the reason, because if they are in a normal state, there is no way for them to stimulate the mysterious energy. There is really no way to do this kind of thing. Unlike Frieza has already inspired the mysterious power. So his strength is so powerful, otherwise, how is it possible? Yang has a smile on his face. Anyway, no matter what, today's harvest is still good. At least there is a Saiyan who has inspired the Super Saiyan state. This is the best, because it means that the power in them is very good. They also carry more mysterious energy than the average person. Looking at the other Saiyans, he thought for a while, and felt that he should not slack off, continue to do his own thing, stimulate the Super Saiyan state of these Saiyans, and then put those who have only a little on them. The mysterious energy was absorbed, although it was still very little. But it is enough. For him, this is already very good. At least he does not need to fight his 8-star enemy when he has not yet become an 8-star. If there is a huge disparity in strength, even if you want to do anything, there is no way to do it, and even if you want to fight, maybe an 8-star enemy can kill Yang with one hand. It is because of this that Yang has no intention of appearing now, and the most important thing for him is to get these things done. You don't need to say anything about anything. After you are upgraded to an 8-star level, in this Dragon Ball world, absolutely no one can beat you. He looked at the outside world and shook his head directly. He didn't know what to say. He was also a 7-star expert. He didn't expect to hide in his own space in this place, and he still had to be careful. Can't do anything. Because some things are really easy for their enemies to discover. So that's the way it is now, and other things don't need to be said. Yang suddenly frowned, because he seemed to have discovered something very extraordinary. Slug's breath actually appeared, and it was on Earth. What was Slug doing on Earth at this time? Yang was very curious. He directly asked Ban to take a look. Madara was on Dr. Gero's side at this time. After listening to Yang's words, he directly shifted in time and space, appeared on the Earth, and then looked at this place with a look of curiosity. Slug is standing in the distance. He seems to be looking for something. Madara doesn't care so much, but even if it appears in this place, it is not surprising. Many things appearing on Earth now make people on Earth. Human nerves are very large. They just need to know that there is Sun Wukong protecting the Earth, then there is no problem. And they gave Sun Wukong countless chi, so that Sun Wukong could use his vitality bombs. In this case, they were already very satisfied. Of course they know that they are not heroes anymore, but they know that there has always been a hero protecting them, and that is enough. So now there is no need to know what to say. After Madara appeared, she saw that Slug actually started to move forward, so she didn't bother, but wanted to see what this person wanted to do. Chapter 1032-Shadows Awareness. Slug had a gloomy expression on his face, and then continued to walk forward. He seemed to be muttering something, and Madara could hear it soon. Where do you want to go? Where do you want me to go? Didn't you already say it anyway? No matter what, It is impossible for you to be resurrected now. Slug said curiously. No matter what, I'm very unwilling, even if I know it's useless, it won't do me any good, but I still do it. I must kill me as such an enemy, even if it is I can't kill him, and I must let other people kill him. Sombra's voice recalled from Slug's heart. But are you sure he already knows our location? You also need to know, where are we now? This place is the Earth, many peoples. Slug said. Hey, there's no need to worry. If he can't feel such a sensitive aura, then he's blind. Then I won't rest assured to give him all the hard work I've done for so many years. He Ying said unhappily. Since this is the case, forget it. Anyway, I will follow what you said, but you said, as long as this is the case, you will teach me and make my strength become very strong. Slug said. Don't worry, no matter how I say it, I am also a 6-star master, and in your world, there is no opponent. Soy Ying said very arrogantly. Since that's the case, why did you become like this? Isn't the person who defeated you from our world? Slug asked curiously. Yes, you are right, he is not a person from your world, or even a person from this time and space. The reason why he came back is to stop us, so I will say, I have always had a very bad person. I had a hunch, but I didn't know it all the time, and now I know, those bastards actually started to snipe at those of us who are slowly climbing up. Sombra said with great disdain. But Slug didn't know what to say. If you lose, you lose. You are not from this world. If you are not from this world, what kind of world are you from? Is there any other world besides this world? In this case, he will definitely not believe it, he just thinks that the shadow is looking for an excuse. But it doesn't matter that much, he is just trading with Sombra. As long as this matter is finished, Sombra will teach himself. If his strength becomes stronger, he can protect Namek. Hash pie. Madara has always followed behind. Hearing what Slug said to himself, he shook his head and didn't know what to say. He could only say that this person seemed to be stupid and didn't know at all. Is to say, no matter what it is, what you do now is enough. Anyway, that's how it is now, and other things don't need to be said. Forget it, no matter what, I've come to this planet now, so I'd better think about how to visit this planet and see what's the difference between this planet and Namek. Slug is more optimistic. But now his strength is still average, which seems to be a little different from the plot. Madara was a little curious about even being able to push Sun Wukong to the point of desperation. But if you think about it, if there is a person called He Ying to help, maybe this is really the case. After all, the Traversers have their own unique talents. And this kind of talent is in cultivation, so if you know Slug, you should be able to, but you just don't know how to say it. Anyway, that's the way it is now. Now I just want to see what this shadow is trying to do. Soon, they had already entered a building, and then continued to walk up, and soon came to the roof of the building. According to the command of the shadow, Slug quickly found it. A box was about to be opened, but at this moment, the shadow spoke. Don't open it, do you know what's inside? You want to open this box before I even speak. Soy Ying said quickly. What's in here? No matter what it is, I should have no problem taking a look at it, right? Slug asked quickly. I don't know about this. If you open it up, you will attract some very powerful people. Those people can kill you with just a single finger, just like you were once in your beauty. The person I met in the cave of the Nemesis. The black shadow smiled directly. Isn't that what you want the most? You want him to appear now. In this case, you can just get this kind of thing done. Slug said with a smile on his face. You think too much, I'll be honest, this kind of thing is still very difficult, because not only does he appear, but there are people who are more dangerous than him, and that person will not be so kind, he will kill you, he will definitely kill you, or let you and me be directly possessed by another person, and then let you experience my pain. After Sombra finished speaking, Hey Isho, and Slug had stopped thinking like that at this time. He didn't want to be like Sombra. He looked very scary in Sombra's current state, because there's nothing you can do if you're only attached to someone else's body. So I don't know what to say now. He didn't need to think about it, he knew it, and he definitely didn't want it, so he smiled and said, "Forget it, since that's the case, let's put this box away first, and wait for that person to come and get it. Give it to him again." Quote. You know that dangerous things can't be touched. Anyway, I don't care. If you die, I will be relieved. It is estimated that that person will not take me out and possess another person. I have it, but I said, why do you yearn for power so much? I remember that your race is not a fighting nation. Sombra suddenly became very curious. Chapter 1033-die understand. This is indeed true. The Namaks do not like fighting. Of course, there are also some who like fighting, but they are not like the Saiyans, who always talk about fighting and put it into action. I just want to protect my own planet well. I don't think much about other things. Anyway, the most important good thing now is to protect my own planet. Now Namek has been destroyed by those bastards. That's it, and that Frieza, I want to beat Frieza. Slug has stated his purpose. Anyway, he is like this now, and other things are also like this. Other things will be very helpless. Anyway, this is the case now, but there are no other things. There is nothing to say, so no matter what it is like this now, no matter what it is like this now. Hey, your purpose is still very good, but it is a little too delusional. Do you know what kind of strength Frieza is? You have to know that a person's strength can be improved to a certain extent. There is a limit, it will not increase the strength indefinitely, and this kind of thing still depends on the talent. The shadow was directly hit. But if I didn't continue to survive with such a goal, I don't know what purpose I would use to survive. Slug said suddenly lonely. And these words directly silence the shadows, but this is also the case. If it is not to defeat Frieza and protect Namek, it would be meaningless for him to live now, because his travels it's over, and it's still pretty good. But when he came back, he found that his clan was already dead, and it was almost about to exterminate the clan. In this case, who knows what to say? Either way, the grief must have been breathless. Well, since this is the case, I will try to improve your strength as much as possible. Although it is not possible to directly improve your strength, it is still possible to teach you to practice, so that you don't need to take too many detours. Sombra is directly Hey Isho. Thank you, I think if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't know how to tell these things. It would always be very uncomfortable to keep it in my heart. Slug sighed. Tone. Hying smiled and said, don't worry, I still accept this kind of thing. Anyway, it's like this now, other things don't need to be said. If you can become strong, I think my life will be a little better too. Then now we have this box in our hands, and the person you mentioned still hasn't appeared. Slug asked directly. No, he should have arrived, just in the dark, that's why we don't know, but it doesn't matter, he will definitely appear, because this thing is very important to them. So he will definitely come and pick it up. Sombra Hey Isho. Sure enough, when he finished speaking, Madara appeared, because he felt the breath of the contents of this box, which was the breath of mysterious energy. He did not expect that there would be such a thing on this earth, and this box must have been specially made to be like this, without leaking the breath of mysterious energy, even if it leaked just a little bit. If you are not close, you will not know it at all, nor will you feel it. Madara looked at Slug, then saw the dark shadow behind Slug, and said, so you are hiding things in this place, which means that you also wanted to be a little more in this world of time, because you have also discovered the secrets in this world, haven't you? Hey, since you also know the secrets of this world, then I don't need to say anything. You also want to continue exploring this world, don't you? This world is full of mysterious energy, and it's still a steady stream. That kind of. Black Shadow's eyes seem to be able to pierce through spots. It's nothing, this kind of thing is still relatively easy to guess, but I think this kind of thing can only be owned by people like you, so it's the most useful for you. Madara said indifferently. Maybe you are thinking wrong, this kind of thing can only be obtained by traversers, and can only be obtained by traversers who have traversed from the lower world to the upper world. As for those who actively entered this world from the upper world, even strong strength is useless, Sombra explained directly. Is this thing for Qin Yang? Banana asked, pointing to the thing in Slug's hand. Of course, I thought about it and felt that Qin Yang could still help me get revenge. As long as these mysterious energies are absorbed, then nothing else needs to be said, at least it can raise a small level. Yes, Sombra said happily. Well, since that's the case, then I'll take it, and I'll give it to him later. Madara held out her hand. Slug was still waiting for Sombra to issue orders, and then with a helpless expression on his face, Sombra said directly, give it to him, I believe in him, he should be under his own eyes, because I learned from him. It is because I felt a very strong aura, and only the transmigrators have such an aura. Quote. After he finished speaking, he looked at Madara with a smile on his face, and said, go tell Qin Yang that everything I can help is already helping, and if there is anything else, he can only see it himself. Look, and I really believe in him, I believe he can kill that bastard. After he finished speaking, he was suddenly silent for a while, with a sigh and vicissitudes on his face, and this is what he said, I guess he will stay in this world for the rest of his life. If he can reach the top in the future, he will tell me when you have time, what is the thing that I am moving forward, so that even if I die, I have to die a little bit more clearly. Quote. Madara took the box and said, don't worry, since that's the case, I will tell him what you said. After speaking, Madara directly moved in time and space, and then left this place, and not long after he left, a person appeared in front of Slug, and then frowned. Hying, my boss didn't kill you, that's because he wanted you to be able to have your own perception, but it's definitely not for you to be presumptuous, you know. This person was very upset said. Chapter 1034_Madara's Battle. Hey, kill me if you have the ability, you keep me, but it's just to give some warnings to other new travelers. Don't think I don't know, but you can't think of it, there are still some things on hand, these things may make your boss die. Sombra said very happily. Ha ha ha, just relying on your things to kill our boss, you are too stupid, if someone can really kill our boss, we don't need to be in this place, you know. The purpose of our coming to this world is nothing more than to stop you traversers. The man smiled, and then looked at the shadow that appeared from behind Slug with disdain. Since that's the case, let's just wait and see. Anyway, I still believe in this time traveler. After all, he gives me a different feeling from other travelers. Otherwise, I won't save my last collection. I took out the things, ha ha ha. After Sombra finished speaking, he didn't care about this person. HMPH, do you think he can get away? Even if he holds that place, he definitely can't get away, because our people have already passed, and if we want to send something to that transmigrator, we will know where the traveler's space is, and then it will be time for him to die. The corner of the man's mouth twitched, very confident. Since that's the case, then we'll just stick to it. Anyway, I don't have any ideas. I'm also unlucky in your hands, but don't think I'll admit defeat like this. There are still many things in this world that will happen. Yes, and for such a long time, I believe that there will always be someone who can defeat you. Sombra said angrily. Forget it, anyway, there is no way for you to continue to influence us, so now we just need to kill the transmigrator. Unfortunately, I can tell you now that one of his subordinates is already he was killed by us. All we know is that he has 3 or 4 subordinates in total, and one is already dead. After we kill all his subordinates, he will have no way to get rid of this Dragon Ball. I got something in the world. The man looked into the distance after saying that. In the distance, he felt that his companion was chasing Madara, but he didn't know what the result would be. But thinking about it, his companion's strength was also very powerful, and there was absolutely no problem in killing him. Yes, so this is still waiting here. Sombra didn't care so much, and Slug asked cautiously, well, can I go now? HMPH, just leave if you want, but I still advise you, don't listen to that person in everything, the shadow is already a waste, he just wants to kill you. The man looked at Chirag, then turned around and left. At this time, Madara knew that someone was following him, and immediately frowned. No matter how much, he was constantly changing his time and space, and then in a place where the other party did not follow, he gave the box to the direct gave it to Qin Yang. Qin Yang frowned after receiving the box. You come back too. Anyway, they probably won't feel so happy. We should be able to leave this place. Qin Yang said. No need, you have to know what's going on now. The strength of the enemy is still very strong. You should do your own thing first. I guess after you absorb the mysterious energy in that box, you will be able to. The strength of the team has been improved, and I am still very sure about this kind of thing. Quote. After Madara finished speaking, he looked directly at the sky in the distance. He knew what his strength was. If he encountered an enemy that was too powerful, there was still no way to kill him, and he wanted to escape. It doesn't seem to be too possible, after all, even if he can travel through time and space, but the other party can keep up. It has already explained a lot of problems. The other party is also able to travel through time and space. Who is it? Who is the other party? Banana looked curious, looked at the people gradually appearing in front, and then smiled. It seems that this time our battle is inevitable, but it doesn't matter, I have lived so long anyway. Now, there is always a fight, and if you die in the battle, it won't be a pity. After Madara finished speaking, the other party has already appeared. This is a very strong man, and then he has a smile on his face. No matter how much, he just punched first. It seems that he planned to kill me as soon as he came up, but that's fine. I also want to see how powerful the opponent is. Banyan smiled. At the same time, he activated his own technique, and the technique of arrogant fireball was sent out directly. At the same time, his body began to move continuously. He knew that his technique of arrogant fireball would definitely not do anything to this person. It's a threat, but I don't know what to say. He looked at the place where the fireball was attacking, and his brows suddenly wrinkled, because that person no longer had any breath, but appeared behind him. Really drinking it just made him very curious. No matter what it is, now he always needs to know how powerful the opponent is. Illusory. He hides his body directly in time and space, that is to say, the other party has no way to attack him, but he soon found out. This man's attack turned out to be able to hit him. The whole person flew out. He was shocked. He really didn't know what was going on. It was obvious that there was no battle. Why did such a thing happen? It was simply shocking. Hey, I forgot to tell you, I'm better than anyone else in research on time and space, so don't be ashamed of your three-legged cat skills in front of me, lest you die without knowing how. Damn, the man smiled. He looked at the spot that jumped out of the pile of stones, and then a smile on his face, showing the eyes of a cat looking at a mouse, and he didn't know what to say. He wanted to play with Madara, but Madara didn't want to play with this person, because he knew that if something happened in time and space, he really didn't know. Chapter 1035-Never heard of you. Forget it, no matter what it is, it's good to delay time. It doesn't matter even if the old man's life is released. Anyway, there is no choice now. Madara knows what his current situation is. The mask he was wearing had already been ripped apart by the punch, and some blood had overflowed from the corners of his mouth. The power of this person's attack was also very powerful. Then I'll let you know my true strength. Huo-dun, the art of dragon flame singing. Madara roared loudly, and then countless dragon heads formed of flames rushed towards this person. This strong man clenched his fists with both hands, and then threw out a fist. This man turned out to use the power of his own body to unlock all his skills. That is to say, this man is fighting head-on. When the power is very powerful, Madara himself knows what he is in. If he only talks about the physical body, he is not the opponent's opponent at all, so he must think of a method. If it is not like a method, it may be finished. It is precisely because of this general idea that he directly began to use his own techniques to attack continuously. Anyway, whether it is effective or not, as long as it can play a role in resisting, there is no problem. He needs to find the weakness of this person. If this person is so strong, then there must be weaknesses, and they are very well known. Otherwise, The strength of this person is really too strong, and he has no chance of winning at all. Thinking of this, his writing wheel opened directly, and then directly started the month. Since it is useless, then use illusion to see if this person can also solve the illusion in seconds. If so, he can only take out the bottom of the box. However, the man still shook for a while, then with a smile on his face, he said, "No matter what it is, it's the way it is now, and other things don't need to be said. It turns out that there is still no way. I thought that I don't need to use my own pressure box bottom, but since this is the case, then I can only say that your strength is very powerful, and I will use my strongest method to bury you." After Madara finished speaking, she looked at the strong man indifferently. And the man is Haha Isho, saying, "No matter what, you are going to die at my hands today. This is my mission, and the mission I perform has never failed, so either way, you're going to enjoy the little time you have left." After speaking, the figure disappeared, and Madara directly turned on her immortal mode, and then her whole body was filled with lightning. The planet they were on was covered by lightning. Madara looked at the void indifferently, and then said, "I found you." After he finished speaking, he appeared directly in front of the man, and then a punch fell. The man flew out and collided with a planet, knocking the planet out of a sinkhole, while the man laughed and said, "That's right, I'm talking about your strength. How could it be so weak? If it is so weak, it is not a waste of my time." Quote. He seemed to be hurt a little, but he didn't care too much, but started to get excited because Madara's strength, it seemed that he really wanted to fight against the strong. He rushed up. Madara directly stimulated his writing wheel eyes to the maximum extent, and at the same time gathered the thunder and lightning on his body. I only saw that purple thunder light was exuding from his body, and the speed became very large, but I don't know what to say, the two of them seem to be evenly matched. It's just that I don't know if it's true. No matter what it is, he already knows it, and now no matter what it is, he has to take care of his own affairs. Other things are nothing. The two are constantly fighting, and Madara's illusory transformation has no way to use, can only use his most powerful strength to fight. Madara's Yin Escape Thunder faction is a kind of overall attack method, and its power is very powerful. It hits the opponent, but it only makes the opponent pause for a while and suffers a little injury, but there is nothing else to say. He is still very excited, and the fighting spirit is strong. Looking at Madara, the power in his hand is getting stronger and stronger, and the opponent seems to have all the moves on the body. According to Madara, that is, this person he is a very powerful person with fighting technique, but he does not know other techniques. He has encountered such a thing, but he has never encountered such a powerful body, even under the attack of his own fairy mode, there is nothing at all. This point, even in his own world, will never appear, and he doesn't know what to say about his own affairs. Forget it, no matter what it is, as long as he finds his weakness, there will be no problem at all. Anyway, as long as his weakness is defeated, then the opponent will be finished, and whoever kills whoever will return not necessarily. Madara narrowed her eyes, then kept looking at things in the distance. Who knows what is going on now, but no matter what it is, there is always something to know, and that is where the opponent's weakness lies. The two were constantly fighting. At this time, the strong man was already dark, because the thunder light kept falling on him, causing his skin to be scorched, but the other party had nothing at all, left him very shocked, and I don't know how the other party did it. Obviously it is just a physical body, but this physical body is even stronger than the most powerful person in Hokage. He even believed that even if he was absolutely defensive in front of him, he would never be so leisurely. Very good, very good. I haven't tried such a thing for many years. How many years? How many years my body has not been injured? I didn't expect to feel my injury again today. This feeling is really happy. Quote. After the man finished speaking, he smiled directly, then raised his fist and said to Madara, "But usually the people who hurt me are killed by me in the end, you know." Madara didn't say anything. He knew that it was useless to say anything now, only killing the other party was the most important thing. Chapter 1036 _ Giant Fist. But I'm curious, what kind of identity are you? According to reason, you should be a protagonist in another world. Even if you are not a protagonist, you are a very powerful person in that world. Why, I haven't heard of you. Madara is very curious about this, because in these worlds, all the characters exist, and they are all in the plot, but even so, no one knows which world he is from. But there is something he knows. This person is definitely not the person in the world that he has experienced. Because the way this man fights is real, he has never seen it before. Ha ha ha, do you want to know my identity now? But I'm sorry, you are not qualified to know, because my world is something you have never experienced, so no matter what it is, I will not let you know. If you can really leave this world, you will only know when you go to those places. Quote. After the strong man finished speaking, he rushed up again and fought against Madara, but the opponent's strength was so powerful that Madara was shocked. After all, he was now in immortal mode, but even so, it was just barely a draw with the opponent. And it's only at a disadvantage. It can be seen how powerful this person is. Madara closed her eyes, and then directly summoned the writing wheel eye on her forehead, and then activated the infinite moon reading. At this time, this powerful man was dazed, and his attack was also notified. At this time, Madara breathed a sigh of relief, and there was not much chakra on his body. If he continued to fight, it will really be killed, and the month only slightly affects the opponent's actions, but the infinite monthly reading is the most powerful. But even so, Madara was still not at ease, because the other party was so powerful that he didn't even know what to say. Anyway, that's the way it is now. Madara thought to take advantage of this time to restore her chakra. After all, what happened in Yudu? I still don't know what this strong man has experienced in it. Of course, if he wants to know, it is very simple, but now he just wants to restore his chakra. After all, he knows yes, if it is not the case, there is no way to wait and procrastinate. He knew that he had no way to kill the opponent. Even sending out his most powerful moves would be useless. After all, that's how it is now. Although Madara's strength is strong, many of the advantages are not in the head-to-head battle, and encountering these enemies who are good at head-on resistance will always suffer a little. So he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know how to kill the other party, but the only thing he knows is to delay time. Must be procrastinating. Even if his life is completely consumed, he must give Qinyang a little more time. At this time, Qinyang has already opened the box in his own space, and seeing the mysterious oily green energy, suddenly there was a smile on his face. There was so much mysterious energy in this box. It is equivalent to absorbing 1,000 Saiyans. In this case, it means that you can take care of your own affairs. Anyway, with so much energy now, even if you cannot upgrade to 8 stars, it must be about the same. So that's it for now, nothing else needs to be said. He quickly put his spirit on it, but no matter what it is like this now, and the mysterious energy is slowly infiltrating into his body, and it is still continuous, and there is no energy loss. This is what Qinyang knows. These mysterious energies are very precious. Even if it is a little slower, all the energy must be absorbed. Otherwise, who knows how long the distance from the 8th star is left. If it's just a little bit worse, it's not the end, so what Qinyang wants to do now is what Qinyang thinks of himself, and what he plans for the future. If it is possible to absorb the mysterious energy in these boxes, then there is no need to say other things. Anyway, other mysterious energy can continue to be found, and what he does not know is that his own how much mysterious energy is there. I really didn't expect it. In the end, Sombra did me a favor, but that's fine. Anyway, at this time, Sun Wukong is probably going to Namek, and Frieza is also likely to be able to find 7. It's a Dragon Ball, and in this case, the plot will begin. Qinyang shook his head directly, and didn't know what to say, but that was the case now, and there was nothing else to say. Anyway, that's how it is now. Other things are relatively simple. Anyway, that's how it is now. He doesn't care about that much. Madara had a look of shock on his face at this time, and he really did not expect that this person would destroy his environment in such a short period of time. Okay, no matter what it is, it's time to end this battle, otherwise it's hard for my companions to wait too long, but you can be proud, because it was me who died in the hands, so you are not wronged in your death. Quote. After the man finished speaking, he suddenly clenched his fists, and then his body kept getting bigger and bigger, and finally he laughed, and then he was 20 to 30 meters tall. Changing colors, and his body seems to be constantly changing. Ha ha ha, now you know, I have always been useless, and now, I will kill you, so you don't need to worry or be sad, because death is very enjoyable the matter. After this person finished speaking, he just dropped a punch. His fist was very large, and the power was definitely very powerful, because there were some cracks in the space around his fist. In other words, his punch turned out to disturb the surrounding space. Even he can't do this kind of thing, and he can't do it with the most powerful strength. Chapter 1037 _ The Art of Reincarnation of Dirty Earth. After all, this is not a simple space like Qin Yang's. The space in this Dragon Ball world is also very stable, even if it is impossible to do anything to him. But this is the case now, and other things don't need to be said. Anyway, it is like this now, no matter what, it is like this now. Madara sighed directly, and then summoned his tailed beast. And then let the tailed beast resist this attack. But the tailed beast was just punched, and it died directly. Madara sighed, and the tailed beast naturally knew that Madara had no choice. So now I don't know what to do. Haha, you still want to resist? Let me tell you, it's impossible. Even if you want to resist now, it's impossible, because I've already taken out my strength, you will realize, right? The man was very happy, and also very excited. He was eager to fight, but he never thought that a weak opponent would resolve his own attacks again and again. He had not encountered such a thing for a long time. After all, even if it is King Quan in this world, there is no suspense against him, and the position of King Quan has not been found until now. Who knows where King Quan is going? In this world, King Quan is like an uncertain factor. Even if his boss wants to find him, there is no way to find him. But even so, he is the most powerful in this world, and for him, those people who come across this world from below are all weak people, just like Madara. Madara sighed, and then kept making handprints. Soon Sharon Yan became Rinnegan, and his strength began to increase greatly. In fact, it was already very powerful. He slapped directly to the ground, and then a formation appeared. Ninetales also appeared in front of Madara. In addition to him, there were also some of the top leaders of the former ninja village, Mizukage, Tukage, and Lei. Shadow. The dead people in these Naruto worlds seem to have already appeared in this place, and when they saw the current world, they suddenly became curious, and Reikage said with great interest, I didn't expect that apart from ours there are other worlds outside the world, which is still very good. Quote. That's right. But no matter what, I think it's better to deal with the enemy on the opposite side first. Madara asked us to come out, isn't it just to kill the opponent? Mizuyang also had a smile on his face, and then hee with a bang, I started to activate my own art tilde. So do others, but even so they seem to have discovered that none of their techniques can cause damage to the giant, and the giant's random attack is to kill a person directly. And Madara already knows what kind of strength this giant is at this time. Yeah, it's just astounding. It seems that we still have no way to fight this giant. The strength of people in other worlds is so powerful, it is simply shocking, but fortunately they don't go to our world, otherwise, our village is estimated to be directly destroyed. Toying suddenly said with joy. Come on, even if they appear in our world, someone will be able to defeat him. After all, as you know, there are many masters in our world, but they just don't appear. Said with a smile. Toying agrees with this statement, and when they were chatting, they were still shooting at this giant, but they were just doing nothing. Only Reikage approached the giant directly, and then used Rachel to continuously shoot at the giant, and the giant's body actually started to show some damage under Rachel's attack. I'm right, you see, Reikage is very good. Able to hurt the enemy, and this kind of thing will always happen in the future. One day someone will be able to defeat this giant, we are just characters in the past. It's just a failed person who has not had any promotion. Shuiying o isho. You're right, but no matter what it is, let's continue, lest Ban is going to get angry. Last time, he complained that we didn't use all our strength, but he didn't know, in that case, the face of but they are all our own juniors, how can they use all their strength? Quote. Ellipsis. Whims extreme, dream of love, 773,943,984. The extreme wind, Wanwa mirror, 874,542,149. Closing square bracket ellipsis. Several masters were killed while chatting, while Madara was hiding. Looking at the current situation, he found that Rachel seemed to be able to cause damage to giants, so he was already prepared early in the morning. There was a more powerful rakeage, like a saw blade. When the giant attacked rakeage, he appeared directly in front of the giant, and the saw blade waved directly. Boom! One arm of the giant was directly cut off. The giant roared in pain, and then said loudly, "You bastard, I want to kill you, I must kill you." After he finished speaking, he killed Rakeage with one punch. This is how he opened his palm and landed on Madara's body, and Madara turned his body away for the first time. But even so, if his body was attacked, the whole person flew out backwards, disguising the entire small planet into pieces. He coughed, and blood kept flowing out of his mouth, and then he stood up again. It's settled, this is seeing the giant in the distance. I don't know when, the giant has come to his side. Madara frowned, and then moved his body again, but he was still attacked. Ha ha ha, you can't escape. I have already seen your space transfer. It's useless even if you run away. You should die. Now I think you are seriously injured. If you need another slap, you will die. Do you think you can cut off my arm? I tell you, my arm will be on my old street at that time, but you today is going to be killed by me, and I will stomp your body into meat patties. The giant was very arrogant, waving out one hand continuously, and then chasing after Mobin. It's already dead. It seems that the old man's life today is to stay in this world, but no matter what, the delay time is enough. It's a pity, if it's a little more delay, it will be the most alright. Babe sighed. Chapter 1038_Kobayashi's situation. The slap fell directly, but at this moment, a black flame appeared directly on the giant's hand, and the giant roared in pain, and then saw the black flame spread continuously. It will soon be the case that this giant will be burned to death. Itachi appeared beside Madara and said, "He won't be burned to death, let's go quickly." Madara nodded. Of course, since someone came to help, and he was able to escape now, of course it was the best. He left the place with Itachi. Soon he entered the space. After seeing Chinyang, he nodded and sat cross-legged on the ground to heal his wounds, while Itachi continued to do his own business. After all, he still has Vegeta to train, and now Vegeta has reached the second stage, but it is impossible to break through the third stage. Now this kind of thing is simply impossible to break through the third stage, but even use second stage is no problem. After all, he knows that this kind of thing is relatively simple. And if you kill Frieza, the second stage is enough. Even if there are androids, there is nothing to worry about. After all, there is still Sun Wukong. It is estimated that Sun Wukong is almost able to become a Super Saiyan in the second stage. In this case, it is absolutely no problem to deal with Frieza. So now, the unfolding of the plot is about to start. At this time, Sun Wukong has woken up from his sleep. He looked at the surrounding environment, and then came directly to Bulma's father's house and told him about himself. Go dynamic, and then asked him to make a spaceship that can go dynamic. The spaceship was ready in a week, but there is no 100 times the gravity here. Bulma's father said with a worried look, although I am very confident in your strength, the enemy's the strength is also very strong, so be careful, you must bring Bulma back, my daughter is causing trouble for you. Don't worry, Bulma is my friend, of course I will let him come back safely, you can rest assured. Sun Wukong said directly with a smile on his face. Well, since this is the case, I'm more at ease. Anyway, No matter what, I can tell you that this spacecraft can go dynamic and come back, but they must not be allowed to destroy this very much, otherwise you won't be able to come back, you know. Bulma's father said directly, worried. Don't worry, I also know this, I will never let them destroy this spaceship. Sun Wukong nodded quickly. Well, since that's the case, I'm relieved, you pay attention to safety. Bulma's father nodded and said. Sun Wukong started flying to Namek in the spaceship, and in Namek, Frieza asked his men to keep looking for the 7 Dragon Balls, and he had already found Liu Kei, and the last one was in Xiaolin. Body. Xiaolin is constantly looking at the surrounding environment. He is in a cave at this time, and he is still holding a 7 Dragon Ball in his hand. The volume of this Dragon Ball is much larger than the previous 7 Dragon Balls on Earth, so it means that the power of this 7 Dragon Balls will be greater than that on Earth. It is precisely because of this that Frieza wants to get him, and the dragon on Earth has already been killed, by the great demon King Piccolo. So if you want Dragon Balls now, you can only find them on Namek, but no one knows what's going on, anyway, that's how it is now. Frieza looked at Ginyu with a smile on his face and said, if that's the case, then you should be able to find the last Dragon Ball for me, right? Of course, it's just a clown. He hid in the cave with the Dragon Ball and thought we couldn't find him. Now I'll go over and let him know how strong I am. Ginyu smiled, then he flew out directly, and his speed was very fast. No matter what it is, it's the same now, and other things don't need to be said. Xiaolin is in the cave at this time, and then his face is horrified, because he knows that the Dragon Ball in his hand has a position. Functional, if they want to find themselves, it must be very easy. But even so, Kobayashi didn't want to hand over the Dragon Balls. It's over, it's definitely over. Bulma doesn't know where I'm going, but she left me here. If that bastard Frieza came over in person, I wouldn't be able to defeat it. Xiaolin was very scared, but he still walked forward very firmly. He knew that if he didn't move forward at this time, the people behind would soon catch up with him, so he didn't know what to do now. Now, he only knew that he was going forward. As for where to go, I don't know. At this time, Ginyu had already come to Xiaolin's side, and then with a smile on his face, he said, ha ha ha, I didn't expect that I would be able to find the last Dragon Ball so soon. Since that's the case, then you hand over the 7 Dragon Balls to me, otherwise don't blame me for being rude. Ginyu stretched out his hand, and of course Kobayashi would not give this kind of thing to Ginyu. He knew that Ginyu was doing things under Frieza. If the Dragon Balls were given to Ginyu, wouldn't it be the Dragon Balls given to Frieza? Of course he wouldn't do such a thing. But he couldn't think of any way to stop Ginyu. He just gritted his teeth and said, bastard, I won't give you the Dragon Ball, you are all bad people. It seems that you are courting death. Anyway, I don't mind killing the ants all the time, so now you can die, thinking that you can protect this Dragon Ball. You are really delusional. After Ginyu finished speaking, directly with a hand outstretched, a ray of light appeared. Kobayashi sensed danger, turned around and ran forward, and then kept dodging Ginyu's attacks. Ginyu frowned. He didn't expect this Xiaolin to be so strong. Even when he met someone so powerful, he didn't surrender. He couldn't afford to lose face, and then he was very angry. Chapter 1039-Strong Slug. Since you asked for it by yourself, then I'll let you know that it's useless to run away. Only by handing the Dragon Ball to me will I make your death more happy. After Ginyu finished speaking, he directly rushed towards Xiaolin. Xiaolin had no way to resist, but since the other party had already made a move, he still wanted to struggle. This is the only way to compare it. The vitality slash fell, but it was directly avoided by Ginyu. Ginyu came to Xiaolin, and then with a smile on his face, he grabbed him. I didn't think that you were really going to struggle, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, this kind of thing is not bad for me. I prefer to play with a weak person, but you really don't have any qualifications for me to play with, so you should die. After Ginyu finished speaking, he was about to kill Kobayashi, but at this time, a person suddenly appeared in front of Ginyu's battle. Then a punch sent Ginyu flying. The cave was in a situation where it was about to collapse. Shaolin said with a look of happiness, "I'm finally saved." After he finished speaking, he looked at the person who saved him. This person was of the same race as Piccolo. With a curious expression on his face, he asked, "Who are you?" "My name is Slug. If there is nothing to do, I will continue to flee inside, and I will come back to you when I have dealt with him." After Slug finished speaking, he rushed to Captain Ginyu, and Ginyu also rushed out of the ruins. The two fought directly in this cave. And the power is still very powerful. Xiaolin saw that there was no room for him to intervene. When he saw that the stones above these caves began to fall, he immediately left this place. As for the battle between these two people, he really doesn't want to think too much. After all, he doesn't know whether Slug is a good person or a bad person. If it is also to take away the 7 Dragon Balls, there is really no way. Resisted. So now he is constantly escaping inside. Captain Ginyu was very upset when he saw that his prey had escaped, and the man who claimed to be Slug wanted to mingle with him. He hurriedly punched him out. Slug was also very powerful. Since Sombra trained him, his strength has improved by leaps and bounds. Magic Passing Light Killing Cannon. Slug directly used Piccolo's trick. Because of the existence of shadows, Slug was also able to learn this very powerful move. Captain Ginyu couldn't react, and was directly blasted by the magic gun, blasted out, and then ran through the entire cave, and finally left the cave. Slug didn't intend to let Captain Ginyu go, so he flew out directly, looking at Captain Ginyu with indifferent eyes. "Who are you and why are you against me?" Captain Ginyu asked, very upset. "Ha ha ha, you said that I was against you." "Wrong, I didn't want to be against you. I just wanted to kill you. That's all, I didn't even think about other things, so don't make a mistake about this kind of thing." Slug looked at Captain Ginyu indifferently. "It turns out that, I think I know, your race, those clansmen, were killed by us, so you are very angry now. I know this, but you also underestimate me too much. I'll let you know how big the gap is between us." After speaking, Captain Ginyu started rushing up. The two scuffled together, and then Slug was accidentally kicked to the ground by Captain Ginyu, and then a big hole was smashed. Captain Ginyu was very proud and said, "Do you know my strength now? I'm telling you, I just got hit by you just because I wasn't careful. So do you think my strength is like this? After so many days of devil training, I will let you know that my strength is stronger than yours, and my goal must be achieved. I want all you bastards to go to hell, this is what I want to do the most." Slug said directly, angrily. Then he rushed up again. This time, he didn't dodge Captain Ginyu's attack at all. This was an intention to trade injuries. At first, Captain Ginyu was very happy with this kind of thing, because he was very happy with himself. His physical body was relatively confident, but after waiting for a while, he realized that this kind of thing was not that simple. After all, this kind of thing really lacked confidence now. He was shocked and didn't know what to say, but no matter what he said, Captain Ginyu knew that if he wanted to get the Dragon Ball, he must kill Slug. Otherwise, there is no way to find their prey, so now I don't know what to say. He gritted his teeth, and then began to increase the strength of his attack, and still in a way of fighting wounds for wounds, he believed that he must be stronger than this person. So it is now, anyway, now no matter how you say it, you are already fighting against this person, as long as you kill the opponent. Captain Ginyu absolutely knew this. The two kept attacking each other with the most powerful attack, but he didn't expect that Kobayashi had sneaked to the side, and then hugged Dragon Ball, preparing to kill Captain Ginyu. Because he knew that if Captain Ginyu died, he was the best. But if Captain Ginyu killed Slug, even if he continued to escape inside, it would be impossible for him to escape, because his speed was definitely not as fast as Captain Ginyu. "Well, since that's the case, then I'll play with you. No matter what, I can let you know that it's impossible for a person like you to beat me." Captain Ginyu and Shira the Grid is all injured, but no one will give in, and still shoot at their own enemies. In the end, both of them were seriously injured one after another. Slug and Captain Ginyu flew out backwards, while Kobayashi squinted, seeing that Captain Ginyu was already coming this way, and he immediately threw himself away. The vitality slashes gathered together, and when Ginyu fell into his attack range, he rushed out. Puff. Chapter 1040-Reason to Live. The vitality cut turned out to be a large wound on Ginyu's waist. Ginyu never thought of it, so he slapped Kobayashi directly. Bastard, you dare to attack me, are you dying first? If you want to die so much, then I will fulfill you. After speaking, Captain Ginyu smiled directly, and a finger pointed directly at. After clicking out, Xiaolin soon found that his body was unable to move. Time stop. Captain Ginyu looked smug, and then rushed up, but at this moment, Slug also appeared in this place, and with a punch, Captain Ginyu was blown away, and Kobayashi could start moving again. He was shocked. He didn't know what happened just now, how it was only a momentary thing, and such a thing would happen, but no matter what it was, he knew it, and this kind of thing was finally out of danger. He looked at Slug and said, "Thank you. You're welcome. After all, you are someone who has shown kindness to our Namekians. It's normal for me to protect you, but I think it's better to find a place to hide. After all, you can play a role in it. So if you still want to carry out a sneak attack, it is estimated that he will kill you." Slug said indifferently. Xiaolin nodded, then left the place directly, and found a place to hide. He also knew that it was no longer a battle that he could participate in, even if he was able to resist Captain Ginyu's attack to some extent, but there is still no way to equalize in strength. So if you really go up to fight, it is easy to be killed. Slug continued to fight against Captain Ginyu, but at this time, Captain Ginyu's injury was more serious than him, so of course Captain Ginyu would not do such a disadvantageous thing. He squinted and looked at Slug. It came up directly, so a finger was directly stretched out. But at this moment, Slug suddenly turned around, and the time stopped unexpectedly, avoiding Ginyu, so that Captain Ginyu didn't know what to say. How is it possible? He has never seen anyone who can escape his time stop, except Frieza's perverted strength. But now he saw again a man who could escape his own time stop. A punch fell, Slug looked indifferent, and then he sent Captain Ginyu flying. When he caught up again, he found out that Captain Ginyu had already escaped, so he just didn't care so much. "Come on in front of Xiaolin," he said. "Dragon Ball, the Dragon Ball on your body should be the last one." Well, the other Dragon Balls have already been collected by Frieza, so it's useless to say anything now, but there is still something to be sure. That is, Frieza will come to find this Dragon Ball, but now Dragon Balls are not safe in our hands, so since you are a Namekian, do you know how to close the positioning of this Dragon Ball? Kobayashi said directly. Although this is a bit whimsical, but now the only way is this. If Dragon Ball has always been positioned, it will not take long for Frieza to come to the door. At that time, no matter what it is, it will die. Neither he nor this Slug can fight Frieza, so the most important thing now is to wait for the arrival of Goku. In this case, I think I already know that there was a box in our race. If you put the Dragon Balls in the box, it won't be discovered or known. The even positioning is useless, but now the box doesn't know where it is going. Slug nodded and said. That's not it, that's the end. They will find us, and then they will find the Dragon Ball. Now there is no way to hide. Xiaolin covered his head, and was very scared. It doesn't matter, even if Frieza comes over, I will definitely kill him. My strength is already very strong now. Slug is very confident in his own strength. But he didn't know, the black shadow in his body sighed directly after hearing this. After all, even if the strength is strong, even if you can defeat Captain Ginyu, in fact, Captain Ginyu and Frieza are not the same level at all. If they are the same level, then there is no need to say anything, but not one level now. Frieza's strength, even if this Slug raised his own strength to his limit, would definitely not be Frieza's opponent. He knew this very well, but he didn't want to say it, so as not to undermine the confidence of this Slug. After all, he didn't want to tell Slug. This is a kind of hope of living. If this kind of hope is broken, then Slug will really have no reason to live. At this moment, a person suddenly appeared in front of Kobayashi, and then snatched Kobayashi's Dragon Ball. Kobayashi hadn't even reacted, but he was kicked flying, and when Slug turned to attack, the 16th has already left this place. No one knew what happened to him. Even if it was the case, Slug was shocked and didn't know what happened. It was just a distraction, and it turned out that the Dragon Ball was taken away by someone, and I didn't know who it was. In addition to Frieza, there are other forces appearing on this Namek planet, which he never thought of. But since it's already like this, other things don't need to be said. Anyway, it's like this now. He thought about how to get the Dragon Ball back. He looked at Shaolin, who had already come to this place, and said directly, "You wait here, I'm going to snatch the Dragon Balls back." It seems that there are other people who want to get Dragon Balls. After he finished speaking, he rushed forward, while Shaolin looked at his empty hands and didn't know what to say. No matter what, he still has to try his best to save what he did wrong. He lost the Dragon Ball in his hand. This is the most important mistake. He thought about it for a while, and then he muttered, "Now they are going to find the 7 Dragon Balls, so they will summon the dragon. As long as I am calling the dragon, I will tell my own wishes. Just come out."